Think of the last time you were told no. You might have been told no today, you might have been told no this week, this month. Keep that in mind the last time you were told no. Somebody underestimated you. Now imagine me at 5 years old. I am super excited. It's the first day of school. My mom and I are at the front door, and the principal comes over to introduce himself. And he says, "Hello. I'm sorry. Tracy can't go to this school." My heart just drops. My mom doesn't skip a beat. With no voice tone and this calm question, she just asks, "How come?" And he says, "Well, Tracy's got to be able to tie her shoelaces. Tracy's got to be able to go to the washroom by herself. There's just one teacher and 30 kids. And you've got to remember, it's the 70s. There's no educational assistance, and segregation is typical. People with disabilities go to a segregated, separate school." And so what my mom does is she counter-offers. She says, "How about we just try Tracy for 1 week? And if it doesn't work out, no problem. No problem. Then we'll go to one of those other schools." And the principal thinks, "I can do that." And this mom can see for herself that Tracy won't be able to cope. My mom smiles and nods at him, and she turns to me, and she drops on her knees. And she's looking me eye to eye. She grabs my arms, she's holding me tight, and she says, "Tracy, it's really important that you and everybody's included. Nobody left behind." The principal heard this whole conversation. I'm 5 years old. I do not know why my mom is so intense. I just want to go outside. I just want to be with my friends. So fast forward to recess time. And the principal runs outside because he now wants me to stay, right? He doesn't want to tell my mom that I gotta go home. He doesn't see me anywhere. 5 minutes go by. 10 minutes go by. 15 minutes go by. The recess bell goes off. I never made it outside. His heart drops now. He runs inside to ask the teacher, "What happened? Couldn't Tracy tie her shoelaces?" And the teacher's kind of confused. She says, "Tracy was the first one with her shoelaces tied." "What? Well, then how come Tracy wasn't outside?" "Well, her little friend couldn't tie her shoelaces, so Tracy gave her a hand. It turns out none of those 30 kids could tie their shoelaces." So how come the only girl with no hands was the only girl required to be able to tie her shoelaces to be there. So how many of you or your children or the people in your lives were told, oh, you're too short for basketball. Oh, you're too tall for ballet. Oh, no, that's something that girls do. No, that's something that boys do. Or for all of us here, looking for a promotion or a specific project lead role, and we have in our head, or someone says to us, oh, you require a master's to be able to be in that position. It made sense with one teacher and no support that I might not be able to be in that room. How could a 4-way amputee do it? You can do it. There's a place for each and every single one of us. Fast forward, I just wanted to be in that playground. I didn't want to be a shoelace leader. So I was a shoelace leader of 30 kids to now, 2018, being a transformational leader out of 160 countries. Oh, thank you. Most appreciative. And I get to be humanitarian in developing countries. I get to climb the Himalayas of Nepal. It's pretty cool to be a 4-way amputee, but I sail in World Cup regattas against able-bodied men, predominantly men. Thank you. But you know the biggest no I ever got was Uber. So I just wanted to be on that playground. You just want to be on that playground as a project lead or getting that promotion. And when you're told no, is to hear it like my mom did. No, N-O, just means they don't know. K-N-O-W. They just don't know. I got to take that 5-year-old girl lesson and bring it to Uber, breaking it into Canada. I've been lucky enough to be in 20 countries in 2018. And all 20 countries, Uber was breaking into the country. They were busting up and disrupting the normal way of doing business. In Canada, they start in the biggest city. They started in Toronto. And Uber was this close to being told no. The taxi drivers were very effective at speaking to the public's listening. My mom spoke to the principal. She didn't say, Tracy can tie her shoelaces. What my mom did is she spoke to his concerns. He was worried about being stuck with me, right? Wouldn't be able to handle me, wouldn't be able to help me and 30 other kids. She spoke to his listening. She spoke to his filter of concerns. The taxi drivers at Uber didn't say, we're going to lose money, we're going to lose money. What the taxi drivers did was they spoke to all of the public's listening and they said, they don't have insurance, they're not safe, they don't do training. They stretched the truth a little to make it so that they were speaking to the public's listening. And the city of Toronto had this group of very passionate taxi drivers on their doorstep. So there's 4 different players in that conversation, in that conflict, where they have obstacles to overcome. There's the owners of the cabs. The owners of the cabs are worried about losing their renting taxi drivers. So they tell the renting taxi drivers, you're gonna lose income. And so the renting taxi drivers are worried about losing income, so they tell the public, it's not safe, they don't have insurance. There's also the city who have a concern about safety, but also don't want this noisy crowd on their doorstep, riling everybody up. And then there's all of you. There's all of us. There's the general public that wants safe rides, and we want affordable rides. So I went down to City Hall and said, without Uber, we don't have accessibility. We don't have the ability to access on-demand rides. So think of someone that's had hip surgery and they want to go out for dinner spontaneously. They have no way to call an accessible vehicle for same-day service. Or imagine myself flying when I use my wheelchair and the flight changes. And so my arrival time isn't what was predicted. And so now I don't have an on-demand ride to get home from the airport. Or if you call your grandmother to babysit their granddaughter and say, I'm stuck at work, can you please pick up Lucy from school? But the grandmother has a walker that doesn't fit in a typical taxi. Or you broke your leg, or you've had a hip surgery, or you're pregnant, or you use a baby stroller, or your friend uses a baby stroller. Accessible, able to access vehicles other than the sedan are for everybody. We need on-demand rides with bigger vehicles. Taxi drivers don't want those accessible vans. So when I spoke at City Hall, I spoke to a bigger public gap. Transportation was a massive concern for on-demand rides. It was a bigger concern to the city than those few taxi drivers that were worried about their income. We were able to just try Uber for a few months. And we were able to bust it up. We were able to create safe insurance, safe vehicles, safe training. All of those things were in place, whether you were taxi or Uber. And we had affordable Uber, and I had on-demand rides for everyone. So when you're told no, it is a fast-changing society. You think of Barnes & Noble books, and now we have Amazon. Or you think of Blockbuster, and now we have Netflix. Change is inevitable. So how do we all influence and persuade people faster so that they can learn the magic of possibility that no, N-O, just means they don't K-N-O-W. They just don't know. Disarm your limiting beliefs. Disarm your limiting beliefs. No, when you're told no, just means K-N-O-W. Ask questions. Seek first to understand. Counter-offer solutions that speak to their listening. Don't tell them you can tie your shoelaces. Counter-offer what concerns them. And you'll find your conversations turn into possibilities. Thank you. I appreciate it.